All right, July 22nd, 2022, Friday update. Uh, there's a good update. The dirtbag that shot Fernando Ballesteros has been extradited back to Illinois, is in custody, and formally charged with 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder. That's good news. In the news elsewhere, let's talk about the release of body cam footage from the shooting on the west side with Officer Ball, with the 13-year-old carjacking offender who refused to cooperate, refused to stop, turned and wheeled on the officers. You can debate all day long if his hands were up or not, but he did have a cell phone in his hand. And the last the officers knew, including Officer Ball, was that he was part in a vehicle that was used in a carjacking, not one, but two, including one with a child in it. So, and after leading police on a chase, took off in the dark of night. And like I said, at the last second, turns, whether he's putting his hands up or not, there is absolutely no way in a split-second decision for an officer to know that. All he knows is there's a dark object in his hand and he's stopping to turn around. You do not have to wait to be shot in order to fire a round in defense of your life or other people. That's exactly what happened. It was a good shooting. For anybody to drag the officers through the mud now because they pulled them away from the gas pumps, whether that caused further injury or not, we will never know. But there was nothing malicious about that. It was in good faith that they were trying to get them away from the gas pumps, not knowing if a stray round had struck the gas pumps. Again, this Monday morning quarterbacking needs to stop. And I'll remind everybody, our wonderful fearless leader who goes to Dallas quite often while our members are canceled RDOs or deployments, because he likes to enjoy time with his family, but clearly nobody else in the department can, refused. His words: I am not going to provide a defense for that officer. That's his job. The day after that shooting happened, at a press conference at 35th in Michigan. The guy is a coward. He's a piece of garbage. He should be fired immediately. He is a shameful leader of a police department, even for a 2-member police department anywhere in this country. He should never have a law enforcement job again. But sadly, someone will probably hire him. Another shooting. We'll talk about the Alvarez shooting and the fact that, again, the one member of the police board made a good decision to basically make sure he concurred with a suspension and not a termination. Nothing that Officer Solano did in there was wrong. The police board member highlighted the previous knowledge, the fact that he had chased Alvarez prior for a domestic incident. This all is knowledge officers use on a daily basis to make determinations on when they're going to enforce or take police action, let's say, or whether they're not. You cannot have it both ways, where you want officers to do good police work, and when they do, you punish them for it because the outcome turns out a little differently than you had hoped, even though it's perfectly fine what was done. Alvarez had a gun in his hand. At one point, Alvarez had the gun at his chest as he was running and falling down. Now, there's no way to know if that continues on and he starts firing a shot backwards, which can easily be done. Again, that's what COPA would like you to believe. That's what the mayor would like you to believe. That's what a lot of politicians in this city and state would like you to believe, that there was no threat to the officer at that moment. Well, I'll make this offer to COPA, to the mayor, or to anybody else. Go take the simulator course and see how many times out of 5 you either shoot when you're not supposed to or don't shoot and end up dead. If you get 5 for 5, then come back and talk to me. But I guarantee you, you will not. Many officers don't either. It is literally life and death, split-second decisions that are being made, that are being micromanaged and quarterbacked and decided upon after the fact by people who never carried a damn gun in their life, never faced a violent criminal face-to-face in their life. But here they are trying to decide right and wrong and ruining people's reputations, careers, lives, and trying to take away their freedom in some instances. It is absolutely disgusting. But change is coming, 7 more months. On a different note, settlement agreement. We've been in arbitration over a grievance for the department arbitrarily canceling RDOs last year. So we entered into a pilot agreement for the 4 holidays this summer. Shocker, the department had no intention on abiding by the agreement from the get-go. The superintendent has said as much when he basically repeated at least twice in the last 2 weeks that we only cancel 4 holidays a year for officers, which equals 8 days. So there already tells you their plan was to cancel days off anyway. There was never a intention on following the settlement agreement and abide by the terms of it. But I digress. We were then following up with that grievance with a hearing with the arbitrator who originally had made the ruling and actually mediated the settlement of that offer and the violations of that settlement offer. Here's where we ended up. The arbitrator said the Memorial Day violation wasn't a violation because the department was short-staffed and the city had obligations to meet staffing for various festivals across the city, and that the city was just opening up following COVID, blah, 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 that they were able to use historical data and every other reason in order to do that cancellation and extend tours beyond 10 days in a row. That was not a violation of the agreement. Total BS, but we then focused on the burden of proof fell on the city when it came to why they did it for Father's Day and for 4th of July. So that's what we had a conversation about today, and mediation worked out like this. The arbitrator will maintain jurisdiction for any violations of the agreement coming up for Labor Day. The city has said, and basically in the agreement, they can only cancel one, they will only cancel 1 day off, when it comes to Labor Day, not both RDOs. And that is at a maximum. They said, and this is the city's position, they may not cancel any RDOs, but if they do, it will only be 1, not 2. Any officer who worked more than 10 days for Father's Day from the start of the deployment or for 4th of July from the start of the deployment, if you worked 11 days, you will be given 8 hours comp time. If you worked 12 days, you will be given 16 hours comp time, and 8 hours for every day beyond 10 that you were forced to work during that deployment period. That comp time will be categorized different than other comp time. It will be highlighted at the unit timekeeper's level, so you are able to use that time even above and beyond personal days, because you were the ones who were screwed and had to work excessive hours and excessive days as opposed to other members of the department. So the thought is that comp time could be used in order to get you the time off that you weren't afforded then, now ahead of personal time. It's going to, or ahead of personal days. So let me just say, it's going to take a little time. Reasonable time was what the phrase was used, that the city has to gather who the affected members are and exactly how much comp time they are allotted going forward. And just to show you how the city has been dragging their feet. In negotiations, we have made many proposals. One of them was that there's a minimum of 9 hours between shifts, no matter what. Minimum. The city kept pushing back, saying, nope, 8 hours, not 9, 8 hours, 9. Well, guess what? They agreed today to have a 9-hour break in between shifts going forward for the Labor Day weekend, which in theory will translate into an agreement down the road. But that's the crux of the agreement going forward, and I just want people to realize it's a little different than any mediation agreement that's ever been done before. The city, for some officers who had their RDO canceled and already got paid time and a half, will now be getting also, if they worked 11 or more days, another straight 8 hours on top of that, effectively making it double time and a half, which is our provision going forward for canceled RDOs in the future in perpetuity. So I just want to throw that out there. Sergeant Andy Dubda's wake is this evening on the southeast side. It's posted on our Facebook page, and it'll be on the website shortly here. The funeral is tomorrow if you want to come pay your last respects. The national conference is next week, so I will be down in O'Fallon, Illinois at that. I will let you know that the lodge will be closed. The building will be closed on Wednesday because the city is shutting off water down the whole street for water main work. So we're going to shut down. I don't know what the credit union is going to do, but we will be shut down Wednesday. There will be notice of that too. Everybody have a safe weekend, and I'll be in touch.